Hey, what's up? It's Joseph here. I wanted to talk to. Well, I just wanted to address something. I notice I'm getting a lot of comments from Christians, well, and messages from atheists too. But it's a very strange form. I don't want to say it's a strange form of atheism, but it's a very odd thing. I have to try to help to keep getting frustrated from it, but it is very frustrating. These arguments that just don't apply. I mean, it seems the most uneducated thing you could do. I mean, I wouldn't use Islam. I wouldn't go to a Buddhist and say, "Well, why do you believe the Quran is infallible?" And Muhammad did this and he wasn't here. See, that disproves Buddhism. Why? What? I mean, that's Islam. I mean, they don't believe in Islam either. They're Buddhists. So why come to me with evangelical things? You know nothing about orthodoxy, and then start accusing me. It's just the strangest thing in the world. I have people coming, the Bible isn't the Word of God. I couldn't agree more. The Earth isn't sixth creationism. It's just weird stuff like this. I mean, they might as well pull some of the priestly text out of the Old Testament where it talks about slaughtering cattle and atoning for sins. Well, see, you guys have done this for 2,000 years. No, we don't practice that. That's something that's never been practiced by Christianity. It's something Jewish. It's in the Bible, but it's nothing we've held to. Look, handling snakes right there. You Orthodox, you Christians, you've been snake handling for 2,000. No, that's something modern. Yeah, it's in the Bible, but it's never been used in that phase. Nobody's ever looked at that and said, "Oh, I got to go pick up a snake now." Well, in America, finally, around 150 years ago, some people started saying, "Oh, that's a good idea," but it was nothing practiced. Orthodoxy is the tradition that gets handed down. It's practiced. When the world came into knowing more about science, Orthodoxy never stepped on that ground because you have to see there's this material world that we can test and everything. And you can't, I mean, if you say you believe in the spiritual, this is the strange thing about American Christianity. If you were to able to prove it by science, and it's not there, it's not, I mean, even the word faith is deceptive because that's an active word. That's not something that, for us, and even in the Greek, that's an active word. That's not something that's so solid. It's more like bond. It's not, you have nothing, it's blind. You're totally going into it blind. Um, it's the idea that there's more to the world than meets the eye, and that's actually driven people to search. Well, what's on there? We find gravity, we find all these things that are there. So people, oh, there's some force. Yeah, there is. And the experience of that is cataloged in, I mean, it's logged into the history through the Orthodox Church. We see the experience of the church. It's not just one static, oh, this is it, and that's nothing can ever change. We can't ever relook at anything. No, we're constantly looking at things in a new light. Do you throw your culture away? I mean, do we do a cultural revolution with the Maoists and everything goes back to the year zero and we rip down all the cities? I mean, it's an aggressive attack. I mean, it's very strange because there's no evangelization. It's just question and response and stuff like this. But yet there's an aggressive attack. It's as if somebody were to go into, and I know that's very strong language, right? If somebody were to go into, let's say a country, some Southeast Asian country, and say, well, why are you guys, white Americans? We're going to take you over because of the reason everything you're saying against them doesn't apply, doesn't make sense. and you're stepping on you're going out of the way your way to screw with them. You see what I mean? Kind of a poor analogy, but it just seems so odd. Now I'm not saying it's at all the same thing, but it's just as strange. These people would be confused and kind of taken aback. And I guess I mean, I haven't been looking for it, so I'd respond to people cordially, and yeah, this is, and I'd explain it to them after they send me 3 pages of just whining and like they're trying to evangelize their point to me. They're trying to say this is what you shouldn't believe, this is what you should believe. I'm not telling them anything what they should believe. In fact, in all these videos, even people who want to come to Orthodoxy, I just say the Orthodox Church believes. Part of what I believe is my belief, and it's about that. There's no you need to do this or go to hell. Hell doesn't exist. So, um, I mean, it's three different. We say hell. It's hell is a pagan god. I mean, it's very strange. Or this idea that everybody's dying to get to the afterlife. Again, that's a very screwed up view that you would look. I mean, even base things. I mean, heaven and hell. It's a pretty basic thing. That well, I mean, if you believe that when you die, you're either going to go burn in an inferno in hell, or go to heaven, that changes your view on everything. I would think. I've never had to stand in the other with shoes really, but that would be a major thing that would change your view. You'd get really a lot of disagreements with somebody on that. So why would you presuppose somebody? Oh well, and then it's this liberal thing of like, oh, it's liberalism. You guys aren't really Christians then if you don't, handle snakes and believe in creations and all this weird shit. They don't know we're the old ones. We're the oldest one on the block that's still around, except maybe the Syriac and the Assyrians, the Nestorians, and the Monophysites would be. Well, I use Syriac, and I'm Syriac. The Oriental Orthodox, as opposed to the Eastern Orthodox, or even the Assyrian Catholics, who are the Nestorians. I mean, the three oldest branches of Christianity, and you're going to say, "Oh, that's not." I mean, even look among the varieties. Us, the Roman Catholics, the I mean, the Roman Catholics. Don't get me wrong; they've changed a lot, so it's hard to. They're more like the original Protestants. Um, the Syriac Orthodox, and among these, there's all independent things. There's Ethiopian, there's Coptic, um, there's Jacobite in the Oriental. For us, there's Bulgarian, Serbian, Antiochian, Russian. So that's all under the Eastern, or sometimes they call it Greek because that was the liturgical language at the beginning. And then you have this totally separate Assyrian Orthodox. None of these people have ever heard or practiced what you're talking about and you're trying to argue against. So you take something that was never practiced by them, is not known to be practiced, happening the other side of the world. It's a very new thing, and then claiming, oh, they did that. I mean, it's a very odd thing. I mean, no inquisition, no inquiry. Okay, what do you believe? And then you can, then after knowing what I believe, could respond to it. No, it's immediate. Of well, the label Christian falls on you in a context, so I'm going to go and argue against you as if you're an evangelical, which, I mean, this sounds terrible to say, but we're probably more different from the evangelicals than the Buddhists are, or just as much. And people say, oh, and then they look at it, and then after they see, oh, wait, it is different, they say, oh, no, you're not Christian. Okay, well, who is occupying that 1,000-year period when it was just us? Or the 1,500-year period where it was us and the Roman Catholics? I mean, everybody else is pretty much the latecomer to the game. And the Byzantine Empire, say, spoke Greek. They were a literate society. It's like how ancient China was. We wrote everything down. You can read it. They even copied the writings of the heretics down. They wrote everything down because they were, it was complaining against everything. There were plenty of things lost for various reasons. Destructions, wars, sometimes intentionally just trying to black something out. But to have a literal society, you know what they have espoused. So it's not something where, oh, you have to take it. You can look back at it. It's just being ignorant, you know? And it's almost funny. Some of these people who were really aggressive, I don't even. It's almost like, they protest too much. It doesn't seem. They don't. It's almost like they're posers or something. They're this kind of fanatical. Well, I wouldn't say fanatical atheism because I don't know if there could be such a thing, but they take atheism and then they jump to this radical type of materialism and start arguing against it, and they wind up stepping on a lot of the arguments of Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris. I mean, which I would have to assume they would agree with them. I think Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris are pretty dead on. I mean, they're on the money on pretty much most everything. Christopher Hitchens, I disagree with him with the Iraq War. I don't think we should have gone in, but I mean, they start arguing against atheist arguments too. They don't just stick. First of all, they never make a point against orthodoxy, and second, they don't. It's really strange. They start quoting the Bible, and then they start even basic philosophical arguments. They start just trampling on. It's like, wait, you wouldn't come. There's no. It's all very odd. There's no real rhyme, reason. There's no method to the madness. There's nothing. Uh, it's just these emotional blurbs, and they're usually filled with a lot of hostile swear words and like these people probably have on a psychological level, a deeper connection to, I guess, a religion or a type of tribe or nationality. I mean, because there's such a visceral. I mean, these people are really deranged by this subject, and I feel bad. I mean, I guess it's the people who are actually coming out in haters. They're saying, well, religion makes people angry and violent. Well, it's certainly making them angry and violent, but they're not really professing to practice it. Or religious people, they can. And like I say, the word religion is useless. It's not even a suitable word to describe any of the belief systems or even to group them together. Because look at Confucianism and Taoism, and then look at something like Judaism or Catholicism. It doesn't. It's a useless word, as Sam Harris would point out. But I mean, they're acting like complete assholes and being aggressive and evangelizing because they don't believe in religion. I wish they would almost not, just like me, really not actually believe in the word religion, and then they'd stop being pissed off and arguing about stuff. When people do evil shit, that's their own thing. Oh, God told me to do it. You're an asshole. You went out and murdered people. No. Why can't they have that kind of common sense? The fact that, wait, you judge people on their actions and not what they do in their private life. When have the Orthodox commented, we need to pass this law and preach? When have you ever heard them on, in $1 million suits begging for money, begging for rent checks on the channel? When have the Orthodox ever knocked on your door and handed you a pamphlet? If you want to spout off anti-evangelical stuff at me, then go to the Buddhists and the Jains and the Shinto people and say that to them. It'll probably make about as much sense and as much impact. You're telling me things that either I already disagree with, or you're arguing on on a factual inaccuracy. You're arguing about a point that doesn't exist. But it's all very strange, and these critics seem to love to. I don't know. It's very odd.